What is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Live Locks presented by Scores and Odds. If you haven't checked it out already, just making bad life choices. Going over to scoresandodds.com where you got picks from me, Meansy, that piece of crap over there. Plus, you get access to our nice little prop shopping tool where you can see exactly what we have projected for each individual prop. Plus, where the best odds are at. Most importantly, you get access to Grant's Action Lounge. What is Grant's Action Lounge? It's where I'm throwing in all my bets each and every day so you can get in before the lines end up moving. Absolutely smashed yesterday. I'm throwing the link to the Discord right there if you have RG or a Scores and Odds subscription. But yeah, absolutely smashed yesterday. On 4K, I won 2.7K. I think I went 11 and 2. Just
Nice.
absolutely destroying the world there, Daniel.
Your videos are doing well too. What is your current record or your current hot streak as far as your videos?
18 and 3 since the beginning of the last week. Just smashing. Absolutely smashing.
That seems pretty good. 18 and 3. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, we got a boatload of bets today. Let's see. I went 12 and 2. 12 and 2 yesterday, which is pretty good. I have so many bets today. A lot.
Well, yeah, no time for pleasantries. Although you were not being pleasant, I believe you were talking about me as a piece of crap. Was that my introduction?
You are a piece of crap. It's a term of endearment, you piece of crap.
I feel like I hadn't been in the show in a while. I feel welcome back. It's been a while since I've jumped on, and I guess now I thank you for welcoming me back. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, let's just get right into it. Have a few bets here from the Magic game. I got Franz Wagner over 24.5 points, rebounds, assists, minus 113 over at Caesars. I think you can get that line lower somewhere else that just wouldn't let me bet. I think it's minus 110 over at DK. It's just a little bit too low of a line. Realistically, there should be some points scored in this game here. Wagner is more than heavily enough involved. I know Clippers aren't a great matchup, but they should be able to limit Paolo's usage a little bit in this spot here, giving some more to Wagner. I just like the over on this line. Paolo Banchero, do you know how many rebounds he had in the last game?
Banchero, I know I played him in some DFS, so I remember he had close to a triple double. So probably he had around 7 or 8.
12.
Okay, so he had 7 or 8 assists.
Yeah. No, okay. I actually had the over 3.5 assists in that spot. So it was he hit the over or it was over like 2.5, something silly. He hit it in like the first 4 minutes. But yeah, I got it minus 121 over at Caesars. I hit it again over at Betway. Minus 1 or FanDuel minus 115. You can also get it over at Betway, I think, for minus 115 or DK minus 115. But yeah, he's averaging like 7.3 on the season. Getting this at 5.5 is just a silly number.
That's a good number. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, PJ Washington under 2.5 assists, minus 104, just too high a number. Fun one, Clint Capella over 0.5 assists, minus 101 over Caesars, plus 100 over at DK.
What is the average? An assist per game, maybe, if that?
0.8.
0.8, okay.
Yeah, so if we're getting over 0.5 at plus 100, just dumb line. Yeah, it's just because he hasn't had one in the last 2 games. Prior to that, he was hitting at a pretty decent clip, average like 0.9 last month. Yeah, but like I said, 0.8 on the season. We have projected for 0.82, I think, this spot here. So it's a 60% hit rate bet that you're getting at plus odds.
It's a bad scoring matchup for him for what it's worth. I think New York is the hardest team to score on inside as far as points in the paint. If not the hardest, like top 3. So it's not. And Capella scores like 89% of his points in the paint. So maybe he does get instead of taking his hook shot or his dunk or whatever it may be. If he happens to the ball inside, he'll kick it out for a 3 or something like that.
And dump it out to Trae Young or DeJounte Murray. Speaking of those two, DeJounte Murray over 5.5 rebounds, minus 104 over at FanDuel. I assume that line has moved. Pretty much any bet I make over at FanDuel, the line moves pretty quickly. Is Murray spelled A-Y or Y? I hate how many Murrays there are and how some are spelled A-Y and some are just spelled Y.
There's Jamal, I think it's spelled differently than DeJounte.
I think Jamal's spelled differently, but Keegan Murray is spelled the same. Minus 110. I still like it at that. Trae Young, over 27.5 points. You can get this, I think, minus 104 over at a few different spots. It's sitting at 26.5 in a few spots, but super heavy juice on the over. 27.5 is probably where it's going to end up landing, and I'm guessing the juice is going to raise. I got it minus 111, like I said, over at Sports Illustrated, but you can get it at a better line, I think, at 27.5. Oh, it's moving. It's really moving. You get minus 105 over at MGM, minus 106 over at FanDuel. I might hit that over at FanDuel. What do you think, Shay? Should I put some more?
I think you should hit it. There's some whatever controversy is going on with Trae Young and Coach McMillan, and and it's still most of it's like kind of been big client behind closed doors. But and he got the previous coach fired allegedly, and allegedly Trae Young's not liking McMillan, and it was a miscommunication officially as to why he sat out and didn't play a couple games ago. It seems like there's something going on there, and then they lost to like a terrible team. I can't remember who it was last time out at home too. Was it OKC? It might have been, but Trae Young, historically, in the Garden's really, really good if you care about such things. I know he only had 17 points last time out. I think that was a blowout. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly. But 45 before that. If you go back to, I think, his last 14 games, this is something I was looking at before the show. He's like, oh, Trae Young in the Garden. And he went to that, he was there for a WWE event, and he turned heel there. It was pretty awesome. Like, of course, he kicked the New York out of the playoffs there as well. He likes playing the role of the heel. They're going to boo him pretty good. So 17 points last game, 45 before that, 29 before that, 33 before that, 20, 23, 31, 42, 80, 48, and 42 before that. So he's had 4 42-plus point games in New York in his last, I think, 13 or 14 appearances. So if you want to ladder it up and have a good time, consider it.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I have plenty of money on line for him. Just threw another $318. Thank you for allowing me to get that, FanDuel. Yeah, solid line. Kuzma over 4.5 assists. Is it 4.5 or 3.5? I don't know. I think it's 4.5.
No Beal.
Yeah, no Beal. Getting plus 122 odds on it. Should be distributing more. Let me see. I want to make sure I didn't accidentally press the wrong number. But yeah, overall solid line here. I think it's 3.5. I don't know why I have 4.5 here.
By the way, Trae Young to score 40-plus points on FanDuel. What do you think the odds are?
Plus 600.
700. 7-1. I like it. 7-1? Come on.
Why not? Let's see how much it'll let me get $35.70 down.
35 for the record is 3-1.
All right, let's see how much my guess is they'll probably let me get $80 down on it. $66.7.
66.80, too much. That's outrageous. You break FanDuel, they would go broke. But
yeah,
it's okay.
Let's see, 35 plus points. Trae Young, 40 plus points. I'll deal with this afterwards. Yeah, so I hit both of those because you know what, Daniel, I like to gamble.
Yeah.
I, in fact, like to gamble. Just going to raise
the right show, thankfully.
Well, Levine over 2.5 3-pointers made plus 104 at FanDuel. It should not be a plus odds. DeRozan, I love this bet. DeRozan over 25.5 points, minus 111 over at FanDuel. DeRozan has hit this over in like 7 out of the last 8 games. No, 7 out of the last 10 games. But he's had 2 bad games in a row. He shot like 35 and 40% from the field in those 2 games. Hit the under on both of them. But prior to that, like I said, 7 out of the 8 games before that, he hit the over. So just 2 bad games in a row. I have no idea why this line is this low. He's pretty much always around this number. Generally hits the over. Getting this minus 111 seems silly. This should be a decent game if I remember correctly. I'm trying to remember who's playing.
Washington bottom 10 as far as defensive efficiency, and they play a little bit slow, but like there's no like quote unquote like lockdown defender, if you want to call it that, on the Washington side. I don't know if they're gonna throw like Kuzma or Avdia or Kispert. Yeah, none of these guys are gonna slow them down. I like the matchup as well. I think it's a solid bet. Chicago.
Yeah, it's definitely a solid bet. It's moved to minus 122. I still think it's pretty decent at that. So yeah, go hit it. Jaren Jackson Jr. under 7.5 rebounds, minus 120 at FanDuel. Dylan Brooks under 2.5 3-pointers made, minus 115 over at DK or at Betway, whichever one you're not limited at. De'Aaron Fox over 31.5 points, rebounds, assists, minus 105 over at DK or Betway. Betway because DK won't let me put Jack down on the NBA, but he's averaging like 34.5 per game on the season. Seems a bit low. I also hit his over points 21.5 minus 115 over at Betway or DK. Yeah, what are your thoughts on
Milwaukee.
that?
It's not a great matchup. Obviously, the Bucks, second best defensive team in the league, so I assume that's what's kind of baked in there.
I mean, it's still a decent total. It's 236 right now. Milwaukee's a 5.5 point favorite.
I think it's 6.5, but yeah, the more total, I think 121 team total as far as the Milwaukee side. I see Warren 14.5 for Sacramento, and of course they play at a solid pace and they're bad defensively also. I think they're bad defensively. No, I'm wrong to say that, right? Yeah, they are. They're like bottom 12, like 18th in the league, so it's not horrific. But yeah, assuming this game stays close, it's probably because Fox is playing reasonably well.
Yep. So I roll those over. I have several Giannis bets. I have Giannis under 11.5 rebounds plus 100 over at Betway or DK. Minus 103 over at Caesars. I hit twice. I have Giannis over 0.5 3-pointers made. Minus 115 at Betway. Minus 115 over at FanDuel. Both those lines seem a little bit off. And I really like the Giannis over 31.5 points. Minus 102 over at FanDuel. Like Giannis has hit that just a huge rate recently. Like 7 out of his last 8 games, something like that. You can get it at 30.5 at like minus 135, minus 145 odds over at over at several different sites. But I just took the 31.5 and close to even money.
Sixth worst team. Sacramento's terrible as far as yielding points in the paint. They are the 6th highest team as far as yielding the most opponent points per game, 52.6 in the paint. By the number 1 on the season, I found this. I was kind of digging this up for the show. I don't know if you saw my tweet earlier, but the Utah Jazz give up the most opponent points in the paint per game, and it's almost 2 points more than the next worst team, which is San Antonio. However, interesting because I thought it was interesting. They're playing against Golden State tonight. They give up the fewest amount of made threes. So they are a like inside funnel, if you want to say that. They don't allow a lot of made threes. They're facing Golden State tonight. Of course, it's just Golden State mostly in uniform only because Golden State will be without at least several of their key players. No Draymond, no Wiggins, no Curry. Clay, Clay will be playing basketball as of this recording. But just thought that was interesting how their defense is how it gives up points to opponents.
Yep. Drew Holiday under 18.5 points, minus 110 with everyone back there. Numbers just a bit too high. Jordan Poole under 3.5 rebounds, minus 135 over at DK/Betway, minus 136 over at FanDuel. Guy's averaging 2 on the season. I get that everyone's out. He's going to see an increase in minutes, but he's already averaging 27 minutes per game on the season. Even if he gets 35, that's still too high of a line there at 3.5 rebounds.
Yeah, I haven't put a lot of thought into that one, but sure, I trust your numbers.
Yep. Reggie Jackson, I hit this almost every single night, under 15.5 points, minus 120 at FanDuel. Just block pretty much every single night. Paul George, under 4.5 assists, minus 108 at FanDuel. Kevin Durant, minus 105 on under 6.5 assists. What do you think about this? Jalen Brunson, 32.5 points, rebounds, assists. I took the under, minus 120 over at DK.
What's the number?
32.5.
I think it's close. What's the juice?
Minus 120.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it.
Classic you.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't want to pay 120 on that.
Yeah,
by the way, the Clippers are kind of weird today because we're expecting Paul George to play. We're expecting Kawhi to play, but they're without a lot of their wings. No Norman Powell, no Luke Kennard. John Wall's going to rest also, and Marcus Morris is out because he's feeling poorly. It's just sort of interesting. Like we did see the best game of the year, low bar for Kawhi Leonard last time out. Hit the game winner too. Played, I believe, a season high 28 minutes. And you have to assume with Kawhi and Paul George in the lineup that you're talking Reggie Jackson that's why he should take a step back. But typically, if those guys weren't there, it'd be interesting. But Two key pieces, two key usage guys will be on the court a good portion of the time when Arjax is out there. So what was the number? 15.5, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one as well. I like the under in it just because, his usage is certainly going to take a hit with George and Kawhi. It's the Clippers, so you never know who's in and out until the bell. But as far as we know, Leonard and George are playing tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the only bet I consistently win is Reggie Jackson unders, and yeah, a pretty decent clip. Julius Randle under 3.5 assists, plus 105. The only reason I hit this is it's a plus odds. I lose this one consistently, so do what you will. Denny Avdia, over 19.5 points, rebounds, assists, and over 5.5 rebounds. 5.5 rebounds at minus 140. Both these over at DK. Just too low of lines. We have Denny projected for, I think, 6.5 rebounds. So like that line. And we have projected for like 21.5 PRA. So both of them really solid there. John Morant under 8.5 assists, plus 105 over at DK, plus 100 over at Sports Illustrated. Hit both of those. Apparently I hit De'Aaron Fox over points, rebounds, assist again. Kevin Huerter over 13.5 points, minus 115 over at Barstool. Sabonis under 16.5 points, minus 105 over at Barstool. I hit this. I really like this one. Russell over 18.5 points, minus 105 over at Betway and over at Win. What do you think about that one?
That's Russ Westbrook, I assume?
D'Angelo Russell.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So the note from that game is that it's the two fastest teams in basketball playing against each other.
Yep.
Minnesota, Indiana, two fastest teams in the league. That kind of speaks to the 237 total. So I like, in a vacuum, I like the overs in this game a lot. I did see Indiana was a little bit slower when Halliburton didn't play, for what it's worth, and we'll see. He's questionable tonight. I don't know if he's going to play. It's a late game, 8 o'clock, I guess, in the East Coast. But, and it's a general thought. I don't know how much they've baked, artificially kicked up those overs in that lineup, or just the numbers. But I feel pretty good on a lot of players over in this game.
Yep. That's, I think, the only one I have at this moment, strangely enough. Weird. Klay Thompson over 30.5 points, rebounds, assists. He's the dude out in the court tonight. He's the guy. Get that Barstool order.
Can he get his own three? Like Clay's one of those guys that somebody sets him up for his three. Typically, not always. Remember, he's
catch and shoot guy.
Yeah, remember what was that number against Sacramento several years ago when he hit 12 threes or whatever? I think it's the NBA record, whatever the number was. But the great stat from that game is he had 12 dribbles the entire game or something silly like that. And I guess that's sort of my question is he's not the guy that's typically going to get his own shot. And I did say Utah yields the least amount of made threes per game as well. So I'm a little conflicted on that one. Theoretically, yeah, he should get a lot more in the absence of Curry, in the absence of Wiggins. Draymond's not a big usage guy. He's a guy that actually probably set up Klay.
Draymond probably hurts him because he'll set Klay up a lot. But
yeah, so I don't know what to do with that one. I think I'm in theory I get the thought process that Klay is just going to shoot a ton, but I feel like Poole's a guy that can get his shot more than Thompson can these days.
Yeah, and I think that Klay ridiculous third quarter game, I think that sent me to live final for Fantasy Aces back in 2000.
Really?
Yeah.
That dates the story. That was 6-7 years ago, huh?
Yeah, I think it was him. One was, I don't know. I got way too many live final entries. So
that's humble brag. It's just too many, live finals you've won or visited that you can't even remember all of them. It's just all one big mesh.
Well, I mean, I think that one had 3 entries. A lot of Fantasy Aces ones. Markkanen over 2.5 3-pointers made, minus 135. Easy money there. Clarkson under 2.5 3-pointers made, minus 100 over at Betway. Looney under 7.5 points. I never get this right. Plus 100 over at DK.
So can I just? That's what I was looking at, Grant. Utah gives up the most points inside, man. Then we kind of talked about it, and I was looking. I'm like, how do you take advantage of this with Golden State? I thought Draymond was a good bet, and I think I actually wrote up Draymond on scores and odds in a similar situation a couple weeks ago, and he got there. He put up 12, and Looney in that game put up at least 10. And Looney, all of his points come from inside, but he's such a low usage guy. But it's the numbers so low, 7.5. You said you have under 7.5.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't like that one. I don't like
The
it.
average is like 6.2 a game. Yeah, we'll see. I never get it right, so I'm not going to argue with you. Jordan Poole over 25.5 points. He's going to be chucking in this game. Minus 105 over at Betway, minus 106 over at Barstool, minus 105 over at DK. Yeah.
I think I like the Poole points more than the Clay points.
Clay's PRA.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Gotcha.
Yeah. Kelly O under 5.5 rebounds, minus 115 over at DK. Devin Booker under 5.5 rebounds, minus 142 at Caesars. Another one that I generally don't get right, so do with it what you may. But I like his under 2.5 3-pointers made, minus 100 over at Barstool, minus 104 over at FanDuel.
So I think he might get a little bit of a reprieve as far as minutes. This is an awesome game. Boston versus Phoenix. I said it's the two fastest teams playing against each other as far as the Minnesota-Indiana game. Boston-Phoenix, two best offensive teams in basketball, 1 and 2 offensive efficiency. And the other part of this game, which is kind of interesting, is that everybody's healthy. These teams are as healthy as they've been in a long time, right? We're getting Chris Paul back tonight. Torrey Craig's expected back tonight with his groin. Cam Johnson's still out for Phoenix. He's not coming back anytime soon. Jay Crowder, who knows if he will ever play for Phoenix ever again. Boston's as healthy as they've been the entire season. Robert Williams hasn't played a game, but Horford expected back from his back-to-back rest, and Brogdon back from his illness. Possible? Did I say it's a possible NBA Finals preview? It is. This should be a lot of fun from a watchability perspective. I believe it's the back half of the ESPN doubleheader as well. But I do think Booker was insane. Like he's just out of his mind, like almost like MVP levels. You can make an argument like a 10-game run in the absence of Chris Paul. And now Chris Paul is back and Torrey Craig is back. So I feel like they would give Booker like a little bit, like just push him a little bit less, So I like the unders on him a tick. But yeah, that game is that should be a great basketball game. Boston versus Phoenix should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it should be a good time. That's basically all my bets.
I was trying to find a line on Kuminga. Is there nothing out there in Kuminga for Golden State?
Let's see.
I think maybe I was misspelling his name, or he's kind of a fringe guy, but with the injuries, with the resting there, like we're presuming he's going to jump in the starting lineup: Poole, Thompson, Lamb, Kuminga, and Looney. I think Kuminga, he's pretty bouncy. He can also step out and hit a three if you need him at a three. I think
no lines up for him. It's spelled coming a, but it's a K instead of a C.
You could have said Kuming.
No, it's coming.
Well, his nickname, I'm not sure if it's a real nickname or not, but I've heard it floated out there before. You ever heard it before or no?
No.
Cum Bucket? You ever heard it before?
That's a great name.
I think that's like a real nickname.
That's a nickname I gave you a few times.
Well, it had nothing to do with my basketball prowess, I believe.
I don't think it did. I don't. On the court, I'm not sure you're a good cum bucket.
Well, you say that guy's a bucket, Yeah. You understand the origin story here, right? And his name is Jonathan Kuminga. Yeah. Yeah. I know I've heard this. Yeah. Where's Twitter who nicknames Jonathan Kuminga? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so it's been floated out there. Like I know I feel like I've saw it on Twitter. I don't remember where I've seen this before, but I didn't just make that up. I wouldn't demand credit for that. But once you went that route, that's what triggered in my head.
Yeah, cum bucket going through your head. I got it. Yeah, that's my bets.
What's your favorite?
DeRozan over points, Giannis over points, Capella over assists, Banchero over rebounds, Trae over points. Those are probably my favorite ones.
But I don't know if you saw this, but the Dortcher chamber has been rolled out tonight. No Lou Dort. Speaking of nicknames, that's another really, really good one. No Lou Dort. It's the best defender for OKC. OKC, an 8-point dog tonight. I think that helps Morant. I guess that's who they would have thrown on him. I assume so. Maybe they would put, or I don't know if they probably put Dort on Morant as opposed to Brooks. I think. Decision might be trickier if Bane was around, but your boy Bane's still not available. I guess SGA will be on Morant now, but Yeah, I think that's obviously that helps Memphis incrementally offensively. Their best defender there for the Thunder. I think you had an under for Ja, didn't you?
For who?
Ja Morant.
Someone's at my door. I gotta go, guys. This has been the show. It's been fun. Again, go get signed up for Scores and Odds. We're out of here. Flick it.
Amazon is delivering.